It's game day for the Miami Hurricanes. Here are the keys for beating Temple.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Saturday, happy game day. I'm Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, and contributor to allhurricanes.com. Thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen. Our 20th ranked Miami Hurricanes will try to stay undefeated, renewing an old Big East rivalry. Miami is 13-1 all-time against Temple. Hurricanes are favored by 24.5 points in this one. 23.5, I think, is now the line, actually. We'll see if the Hurricanes can take care of business today. To help us break it down, my awesome colleague at allhurricanes.com. He also does a great job on the You Heard pod. Chalupa Batman is with us. We sent out the bat signal, and here he is. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Happy game day, Donno. It's our first road game of the year, so got to break out the white jersey for the first time this year. I'm excited. It's going to be a little bit of a weird weather game, but Hurricanes travel well.
Yeah, so here's the situation. I've got eyes up in Philadelphia. The weather is going to suck. There's no question about it. I don't think it's going to be necessarily as bad as I'd been saying it is for the last couple of days, because sometimes when you trust the meteorologists, they don't always get things the way they predicted it. So apparently there may be some breaks in the rain tonight that, for big chunks of the game, it may not be raining or may not be raining heavily, but it is going to be raining before, probably after, probably at some points during the game. But I think what we're going to be looking out for tonight, Chalupa, or this afternoon, is the wind, that the gusts could get pretty high into the 30s. Some people even think the gusts could get into the 40s tonight. So, that can, a wet field, complemented by big-time wind gusts, that could affect deep passing games on both sides. It could affect the kicking game and the punting game on both sides. So these are some of the elements we have to watch out for today.
Definitely, and even if it's wet pregame or it's just wet for the first quarter, then you have to think about a heavy wet ball as well,
right,
that's being thrown. The small things, like Donno said, holding on kicks, the punter being able to squeeze a football before he gets to kick it, the snaps. There's so much shotgun nowadays. Think about that center having to snap a heavy, wet football while his hands are wet as well. Anyone that's played in wet games, if you played any skill positions or anything, you know that once you get wet, those gloves are not getting dry again. Your hands are never really getting dry again, and you're really just wiping your damp hands on a damp towel constantly. So it's those ball security, those little things that are going to be really important in this one.
And anytime you're dealing with a wet field, I know college football fans, they get worried about field conditions in terms of, players get injured and stuff. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the field is going to be in pretty good shape, because they play at Lincoln Financial Field. It's an NFL field, which means the drainage is going to be pretty good. And hopefully there's not a lot of divots and stuff out there. I believe it is natural grass, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully the field holds up pretty nicely tonight. Because, in some of the smaller college stadiums out there, the fields don't have very good drainage, and the grass should be pristine at the link. So that's going to be one of the better field conditions you should play in. Now, as far as the Canes go, going up against Temple's offense, all right, we've talked a lot throughout the week about E.J. Warner, their starting quarterback, son of Pro Football Hall of Famer Kurt Warner, but dealing with the run has got to be priority number one for the Miami Hurricanes, because they do have a couple of talented tailbacks on that Temple Owls team that Miami is going to have to contend with today. Jaquez Smith, Darvon Hubbard, they're kind of a thunder and lightning type of combination, good combination in Temple's backfield. Miami, Chalupa, actually boasts the 8th ranked rushing defense in college football right now. They only allow 60 yards rushing per game. They've got to be on point today, because Temple's quarterback, Mr. Warner, doesn't have a great completion percentage on the season, just over 50%. If the Hurricanes can force 3rd and longs, if they can limit Temple's running game, your defense is going to have an opportunity to get themselves off the field and maybe even get some interceptions today.
100%, Donno. I think the biggest key is stopping the run early. They've got 3 running backs who average over 5 yards a carry.
Wow.
Temple has always been a tough team, right? They've always been a gritty kind of football team. They like to run the football, especially on early downs to stay ahead of the chains. We have to stuff that for several reasons. EJ Warner is a decent quarterback, but he's only completing, like you said, 52% of his passes, has a 2-to-1 touchdown ratio so far, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. But here's the key stat: only 6.4 yards per completion.
Yeah.
Not pushing the ball down the field. What that tells me is they're running the football on early downs, giving him 3rd and short, 3rd and manageable, 2nd and manageable, and then letting him kind of dink and dunk. I think we've got the guys in the secondary to make sure tackles, and that's something that needs to happen as well. He does not push the ball down the field tremendously. So when he does throw those slants, the hitches, the jailbreaks, we have to tackle. Guys like Jaden Davis, guys like Darryl Porter Jr., our safeties coming down, make tackles. Do not give them extra opportunities on offense. But like Donno said, stuff the run. 3 guys averaging 5 yards a carry is no joke. I don't care what sticker you have on your helmet. They've really got some talent in that backfield. But we've seen our front 4, our front 7 look completely different this year. 8th ranked run defense. Kiko is running around, flying around, making plays. West looks great. Cloyd off the bench. I think that's the key. I think that linebacking core being able to fly around and stuff the run early and fill these gaps. Then you start pinning your ears back in the 3rd and 4th quarter, and I don't think they've got the speed to deal with the kind of rushers we have on defense.
Hopefully it's a good day for forcing turnovers, takeaways by Miami's defense, because one of the quirky stats so far this year is the Hurricanes, despite their success, being 3-0, winning all their games comfortably, including Texas A&M, they've only forced 4 turnovers so far this season. They rank somehow near the bottom of the country in that stat. We've asked Lance Guidry about it before, and it's like, you can't really, all you can do is play your assignments, make your hits. Like, it's hard to really plan for turnovers, and sometimes you're in droughts, and then you never know. You could get, and they had 3 takeaways in the Texas A&M game, so you never know where some of these games takeaways may come in bunches, right? So hopefully that's something we can do today. But I want to talk about offensive keys when we come back from Miami, and Chalupa and I will both give you a final score prediction tonight as your Miami Hurricanes take on the Temple Owls, 3:30 p.m. We are only getting started. You want to keep it locked right here to Locked On Canes. Guys, I mentioned the FanDuel odds for Miami today if you want to lock those in. Hurricanes are favored by 23.5 points. The over-under is 46.5. I've been taking a long look at that based on the projected conditions. Maybe we'll go under that total. That's kind of where I'm leaning on making a play for this game. And guys, you're going to have so much fun if you dive headfirst into the college football season and the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen. And for the everydayers, if you want to take your everydayer experience to the next level, we're going to be busy today on our subtext chat, our exclusive SMS texting community. You get text messages directly from my phone to yours with maybe some weather updates today, breaking news, recruiting scoops, one-on-ones. You can ask me questions on there. Click the link in the show description below. I include the link in the show description below. Try it free for 14 days. Then if you like it, you can opt in for $4.99 a month. We give you a lot of added value on there. All right, so Chalupa, something that Miami has excelled at this season, especially compared to last year, explosive plays and yards per play. Miami's offense is number 4 in FBS with an average of 8.0 yards per play. Last year, they ranked number 104 in FBS yards per play at 4.8. So they've gone from 104 to number 4. I think even if the conditions are windy today, I think there can still be opportunities to make some explosive plays today. And you'd especially, if the weather's not great, you'd love to hit a couple of X plays early in the game, and then you can just kind of play downhill for the rest of it.
100%. Let's remember that a lot of these young men on this Miami team come from South Florida, where it rains for fun and it just rains and rains and rains. We saw the other day with the Chaminade game, an hour weather delay for rain, wet field. That didn't stop neither one of those 5-star receivers. I think a lot of these skilled players who grew up in South Florida, it's just kind of is what it is for them, right? They're used to how they have to run their routes when there's a wet field, how they have to cut, maybe break down a bit better. The running backs know I need to really plant my foot in the ground. We've got guys on this team that aren't afraid to play in a little bit of mud and muck. So I think we still get those explosive plays. I think Coach Dawson, who comes from Louisiana, who's not scared to air it out when it rains, because again, they are in hurricane country as well. I think that mentality we have on this team, they're looking at that weather thinking, oh, a little bit of rain is nothing to a hurricane, right? Like, I think the key, like Donno said, is let's try these earlier too. Temple they have a solid defense, not a great defense, but a solid defense. 39% on third down. I think our offense will destroy that number. But I think the key here is getting that backfield going the way we've gotten them going all year. Chaney downhill, Parrish downhill. If Fletch is back and healthy, Fletch downhill. And I just don't think they have the horses or the hosses in the trenches to deal with Maui Noah, Rivers, Cohen, Matt Lee. I say pound the ball early. And maybe our receivers don't really have to have a big explosive game, but still look for those Jacolby George screens that he can turn a 5-yard screen into a 50-yard play. That's still a chunk play, but we can do it in a few different ways. But I'm actually not worried about the weather as far as our skill players go, because like I said, most of them are from South Florida, where they grew up playing in a puddle, and our offensive coordinator comes from one of the most rainy places in the country. So I think we'll be okay.
From the bayou.
Yeah, he literally comes from what we call the bayou. So I think we'll be fine. And you heard his mentality, right? He doesn't seem like he has a mentality where the rain is going to make him conservative.
No.
This is not Josh Gaddis's offense. This is a completely different team this year, and they want to continue to push the ball down the field. We saw it a little bit in the first game, and everyone was, why aren't we seeing more of it? More and more and more. I think the more the season progresses, the more the underneath stuff we have been doing that has been working will cause defensive coordinators to start cheating those safeties up, because you have to, because guys like X and Jacolby are doing really great things after the catch. You need extra bodies in the box. You need extra bodies down there. We haven't even taken the cover off Tyler Harrell yet. So I think you start to see, as the season progresses, us even more aggressive with pushing the ball down the field. I don't think the rain will be a factor there. What do you think about that?
No, I don't either, especially if Miami can kind of run to set up the pass in a day like this, because that offensive line, they're going to be licking their chops at this opportunity.
Oh, they're happy.
I mean, you know, and Inez Cooper probably lives for this, right? He's going to be knocking fools on their butts down the field. I think Tyler Van Dyke is going to be all right. But really, you know, people have asked me over the past week, because Miami has had a pure committee at running back so far, which I think they're enjoying this. They're going to take the committee as far as it can take them. So people have asked me, do you think at some point this year we're going to see kind of a true number one guy emerge? I don't think you really need to, because first of all these guys getting work, it's keeping them happy. The continuity's been good. All of them have been capable of protecting their quarterbacks. That's what Don Solinger, we talked about that the pass protection, all these running backs have done a fine job with that. And the advantage you get is you've basically got fresh legs for 60 minutes, right? When you're not wearing one of your tailbacks into the ground, you know, as the defense gets tired, your tailbacks stay fresh and your offensive line starts to wear the opposing defense down. And so far, like in 3 games, I can't even say who Miami's best running back is right now, right? I mean, Henry Parrish has started the games. He's certainly had his moments. A.J. Allen scored 2 touchdowns last week. Don Chaney had 1 drive where he single-handedly took the offensive back and scored. And then it's like, I don't know what the status is going to be for Mark Fletcher today. Maybe by the time some of you guys watch this, you may know one. If you watch this like right before kickoff, you may know one way or the other. I did hear that he traveled with the team, though. So I think there's a chance we might see Fletch today because apparently he did travel to Philadelphia with his teammates. So even without Fletch, Miami's got 3 to 4 running backs, because I wonder if Chris Johnson has earned himself more playing time, because in garbage time last week against Bethune-Cookman, he looked fantastic, Chalupa.
He looked great. He looked great. And to Donno's point, why pick one right now, right? They're all staying healthy. And remember, there are some guys coming off injury in that running back room. Don Chaney. Remember, AJ Allen, he had the collarbone last year. So these guys there's a couple guys that are still coming off injury last year. There's no need to put 20 carries on them right now. And like Donno said, very much how you see with SEC defenses, where they rotate that defensive line so much that by the time the third and the fourth quarter comes around, these tackles are just exhausted, and the defensive ends and outside linebackers are still fresh. By the time we get in the third and fourth quarter, all of our horses are still fresh, because you see 9 carries for AJ Allen, 8 for Chaney, 7 for Parrish. He's mixing them in. He's getting them involved. The one thing I do want to see is them get involved in the passing game a little bit more.
Yeah,
but I think that will develop the more that the playbook opens up. I think we will see those running back screens and things like that. But right now, they're all hot, and they all have different running styles that kind of complement each other. I like using all of them. I also love that you can't key on any of them.
Yeah,
AJ Allen, he protects well, he runs well, he's a good receiver out the backfield. Same with Chaney, same with Parrish. So it's not a situation where when you see 21, you go, oh, they're doing this. Or when you see Chaney, oh, they're clearly running the football. I think he's got something good going with all 3 of them, keeping them healthy and fresh because remember, this is a long season. It's not a 16-game season like the NFL, but it's still a long season. So let's keep some guys fresh, get them all involved, keep them all happy, like Donno said as well. They're all in the mix. There hasn't been a game so far where you feel like one of them hasn't been in the mix. I love how he's been doing it. Usually when you hear running back by committee, they never give one guy enough to get going. It's 2 carries, and then they pull, and then 1 carry, and they pull, and no one gets rhythm. I feel like Dawson does a great job of, when it's AJ Allen's time, he gets his couple drives. He gets in rhythm, couple carries. When it's Don Chaney's time, sometimes he just gets a whole drive, because Don Chaney just does that.
Yeah.
But when he has one running back in the game, it seems like it's their drive or their couple drives, so they're allowed to get in rhythm. There is not that, I'll have a 12-yard run and then they're tapping me to bring in the other running back. He lets them get in rhythm. So I like how he uses the running backs, and he doesn't overuse them, and that I really love.
Yeah, mainly the last thing I need to see from Miami, and parts of this could be difficult if it really is as windy as we're hearing it might be, but play a clean game on special teams, right?
Oh,
when you're receiving a punt, know exactly where the 10-yard line is. You don't have to field it at the 2, all right? And, and no muffs today, please. And again, I know maybe if it's really windy, it may be tougher to lock down some of these things, but a clean game on special teams is all I ask. Don't be fielding punts at the 2-yard line and getting wrecked back there. Just always know where your feet are and where the 10-yard line is, and let's get that done. We're going to give you our game picks when we come back. Final score prediction coming up. You want to keep it locked right here. Chalupa Batman is with us on Locked On Canes. Folks, I'm so passionate about Nutrafol because you don't have to choose between better hair growth and your health. Nutrafol provides a whole body health approach for men that promotes healthier hair. No drugs, no compromises, just better hair. 80% of men will experience hair thinning in their lifetime. It's normal, but it doesn't have to be your fate. You can get ahead of thinning with Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting root causes of thinning, such as stress, hormones, environment, nutrition, lifestyle, and metabolism through whole body health. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men and enter promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com/men and enter promo code LOCKEDONCollege. That's Nutrafol.com/men, promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen today. On game day, Alex Donno and Chalupa Batman. He is my colleague at allhurricanes.com. All right, Chalupa, we've talked about factors, keys to the game, weather, elements, all that. What is your final score prediction for today? Number 20, Miami at unranked Temple, 3:30 p.m. in Philadelphia.
So we both talked about this a little bit beforehand because we did the predictions for all Hurricanes earlier in the week. But it's before we knew what the field would look like too. So we were both discussing, I wonder, does that change the idea? I'm going to stick with my prediction, 38-10. I think the Canes probably get out to an early lead. I could see halftime being 21-3 or something like that. I do think we are going to have a dominant game on defense in the first half of the first 3 quarters, however long we see the starters out there for. I don't think they can contend with our speed on the edge. And for an offense that wants to dink and dunk, I think we've just got too much speed in the secondary. The guys tackle well, and if they can keep those short passes in front of them, I just don't think Temple has the horses on offense to run with us. And I don't think you're going to be able to run the football with the improvements we have at linebacker. These guys fill gaps and they stuff the run. So then you're asking these receivers that haven't been asked to take over a game, and I just don't see it happening. Yeah. So I got 38-10, but I can see, again, Temple is a scrappy team. They got a really good running back room. I can see them sneaking in a touchdown there in the third quarter, making the score look like it was closer than the game really was.
Like Bethune-Cookman did last week.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so I'm going to just slightly alter the prediction that I logged to allhurricanes.com a couple days ago. I'm still sticking with Miami to win the game. The prediction that I logged was 24-6 Miami. I was kind of assuming pure tropical cyclone conditions. I think the weather reports we're getting on game day indicate it's not going to be as bad as they thought. I think there's going to be, a couple of hours of break in the rain during the game. So I'm going to go with Miami 30-10. So I guess by my prediction, you wouldn't have Miami covering 23.5, but I do think the game is going to go under the total. 46.5 is the over-under. I think it's going to go under that total. I think the Canes will win comfortably, and I think it's going to be a situation where you're going to think the Canes are about to cover the spread, but, Miami's going to call off the dogs, hopefully in the fourth quarter. You're going to see some backups in. Temple probably gets a garbage touchdown for a backdoor cover. So all this to say, I hope Miami covers and wins in pure dominant fashion, but usually when I see a spread that big against a respectable opponent, I don't usually jump on a minus 23.5 type of number. So I'm going to go with that 30-10 Miami wins. Chalupa, thank you so much for taking the time, and let people know, because you got a halftime show, or is it a Spaces or is it a stream today you got coming up at halftime?
So I do a halftime live stream on YouTube. Awesome. On today's halftime, I have Will from 305 Sports Now and the famous Hoodie Girl is joining me. The other Avenger is joining me on halftime today. Always a delight having Hoodie Girl on the show. So we just pop on for halftime, answer a few questions. We always say we hope it's positive questions, obviously, because it's halftime, but we're all fans, right? So whether we're coming there to gripe or to celebrate, we just do it together as Canes fam for 15 minutes at half. And then always check me out on You Heard episodes. I always get this wrong. Mondays and Thursdays, because I remember the days we record. Mm-hmm. So it's Mondays and Thursdays, new episodes drop. I don't want to say who I'm recording with this weekend, but I am supposed to be recording with a Canes football commit and doing an interview with him. So if and when that happens, I will put that out Sunday and let everyone know. but I don't like to say it ahead of time just in case something happens. I can't make it. He can't make it. And then people are like, CV, what happened? So just be on the lookout for something really cool soon.
Chalupa Batman does an awesome job. Make sure you follow him on X at Corey Carmona. Make sure you follow our show at Locked On Canes. If you follow us on X, we will follow you back. And if you're watching us on YouTube, smash that like button and subscribe. If you're listening to the audio version, make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey app, Google, wherever you get your pods. And we will talk to you after the game. We'll probably do our big review episode tomorrow morning, so stay tuned for that. And I will be doing the radio network post game this evening on WQAM 560 in South Florida. So you can check me and Malik Rozier out there. We'll talk to you guys next time on another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.